People of YouTube, today we have a very deep topic. That's right, we're talking about baritones. And you may be thinking, Justin, I don't know what a baritone is. What does it do? How does it work? Well, I think to answer that, it's best if we look at the word itself, baritone, and we break it down to see what it's comprised of. So let's start with the very first word within the word, bear. That's right, just like the animal. Found in the woods. That's right. Next we have the word atone. That's right, that means to make amends. Or it could be short, no one's really sure. It could be short for atonement, which in like the Bible, that's reconciliation with God, right? So if you put these together, what's up? That's not right. That's not what we're talking about today. Okay, my mistake. Okay, so we may not be talking about bears in the woods or the Bible, with atonement, which is, look at the word baritone. The A it's not even spelled that way, okay? But what we are talking about is something in a lower register, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, okay. If we're not talking about that other stuff, then we have to be talking about singers with a really deep voice. We've all heard it.
Baby, lock the door and turn the...
That's not it either. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about today is a baritone guitar. And specifically, this one right here. So this guitar is made by the company Eastwood Guitars. No relation to Mr. Clint.
Go ahead. Make my day.
And this guitar in particular is known as a Sidejack. Okay? It's a little weird. It's kind of like an upside down Strat thing, right? So if you were, the shape itself might look a little more normal like this. I don't know. But it's a little unusual with the longer horn here being on the bottom. It's just odd. If you've never heard of Eastwood Guitars, I recommend you go check them out. I'll put a link down in the description below. But they make a lot of cool stuff, a lot of weird shaped guitars that you don't see all the time, and some more traditional type things. Most of their guitars, at least based on what I can tell, are based on older things. So they have a lot of models that are based on old Japanese guitars, and there's so many of those that came out in the 60s and all these things that they're not made anymore. So you can go to a company like Eastwood and you can get those if you're into those shapes or anything like that. And some of them are more direct copies, and then some of them are just kind of their take on an older style guitar that's not really in production anymore. So pretty cool. You can go check them out. And this one is based on a 1960s type guitar called a Mosrite. Okay, and so it's pretty similar. And it's their take on it, but it's very similar. One thing about a baritone guitar is that it's tuned lower than a normal guitar. So a standard guitar is typically tuned E to E, right? Just standard tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E, okay? And this is tuned quite a bit lower. So it's down like a perfect fifth or tuned to B. So B to B. And what that sounds like is something like this. So you have a standard tuned guitar. We're going to play an E chord. On a baritone guitar, to play that same E chord, you need to move up to the 5th fret. So you can see that sounds the same as the previous standard guitar. But now, if you play that same E-shaped chord down at the very end, then that is a B chord now. So this Eastwood Sidejack has a lot of basic things on it, nothing too crazy. It has 2 P90s. They're more of a vintage P90, so they're not very high output. You can crank up some grain. Can you believe it? Grain. You can crank up the gain and really get some nice tones out of them. But because you have to put so much gain on it if you want to play more modern, heavier stuff, then you start to get some different overtones and things. I prefer humbuckers for that kind of thing, but you know, it is what it is. You have a volume and a tone, right? No push-pulls, nothing like that. There's no reason to do that with the P90. But volume, tone, super simple. You have a Tune-O-Matic style bridge, right? And so that's more like a Gibson or something. There's other brands obviously that use that, but that's what comes to my mind. And then a stop tail, that's what they call it. I don't know. It just holds the strings back here, right? So nothing too fancy. I don't know if you can see this, but that holds the strings right through there. Super simple, thing goes right over the bridge. And all of your stuff down here is just very basic. They're not locking tuners or anything like that. That's more of a modern touch on things. But yeah, they're just standard tuners. It's got good binding on it. I'm not a huge fan of binding, okay? I don't know. Everybody has their thing. If you like binding, it's got good binding on it. It feels very smooth. All the frets are good. There's none like sticking out and jabbing you when you're moving up and down the neck. So it all feels good. It has a maple neck that you can no longer see because it's been painted. I'm typically not a fan of painted necks with all the lacquer and stuff. If you're playing a show, they tend to get sticky to me, but I don't play this out very often, so it's okay for what it is. But anyway, maple neck, it's got a rosewood fingerboard, and then the body itself is made out of basswood, which is a fairly light wood. It's more on the inexpensive side of guitar tone woods, you know, however you feel about tone woods, but it does sound great. It's a good sounding wood, and it's nice and inexpensive, which you would have to be with something like basswood to be at this price point. So I bought this used some years back for like $250, so it was well worth it. It's the only baritone guitar I have, but I really like it. I like it. It sounds good, plays good, so it was worth the $250. On their website, they're selling for around $600, $599. And that's honestly not too bad for what you get. The average weight of one of these, it says on the website, is around 8.5 pounds. I would say that's pretty spot on. It's it's not as heavy as maybe a standard Les Paul or something that I've been able to play, and it's pretty good because you have this extended neck out here, which adds some weight to it, and this body is quite large. So to get this down to 8.5 is not too bad for the size of this thing. if you're interested, I typically like to play 10 to 46 gauge strings on my standard tune guitars. On this one being B to B, so it's a longer scale length, so you need typically thicker strings to keep that tension. If you had 10s on here, they would tend to be floppier, right? So that's why a bass has a longer scale length even than this sometimes, and they have bigger strings, right? It just adds that tension to it. It feels a little different when you're playing it. They don't bend as easy and things like that, but it's not bad at all. You just get used to it after a minute playing it. You just realize you're gonna have to put a little more force into a bend or something like that. But this has 13 to on the high B to the low B is a 62, so that's a 13 to 62 string gauge. So the question becomes, would I buy it again? And to me, that is 100% yes. Once again, I bought it used, so I did get a deal on it instead of buying it brand new. But even then, if you're in need of a baritone guitar, it's a great guitar, especially if it's not one you're going to play all the time. You know, if you were going to play one all the time, that's just your thing, it's a baritone guitar, then you might want to spend more money and get one that's, you know, doesn't have to be custom built, but just a super nice quality guitar. But I think it's pretty cool, even for the 600. It plays good, sounds good. I've never had to do anything to it. And if you're not into that shape, which some people are not, that's okay. They make several baritones in other shapes. So check them out. Go to the Eastwood website. Look at all those things. I'm not sponsored by them in any way. I wish I were. Eastwood, hit me up. You know what I'm saying?
Get off my lawn.
But they make some cool stuff. And this is definitely one I would consider getting again. So if you enjoyed the tune, please hit that thumbs up, please. And go ahead and hit subscribe. We're going to go on this journey, and it's going to be so great. And stay tuned because I have more videos coming down the pike. More vlogs, right? I don't know if you are liking them or not, but I enjoy them. So that's cool. So I'm just videoing every show I go on, the traveling, the playing, trying to show you behind the curtains thing of what it looks like. So if you've missed any of the others, I have a couple up already, and I have one coming out soon. Stay tuned. I've got more stuff coming with the baritone as well for future videos. We're going to do some comparisons with the baritone versus
Technology.
We have technology.
you know? So we're going to see what that turns out to be. But click that like, click subscribe, and let's go on this journey together. See you next time. That's not a proper salute. I don't know. I wasn't in the military. I played Call of Duty. It doesn't matter. See you next time.